I'm Brad Mickley, CEO of Jozu. We provide secure packaging, policy control, and deployment integrity for self-hosted AI models and agents. Here's a situation most defense AI programs face today. You've contracted with multiple vendors to build models, agents, and AI-powered capabilities. Each one uses different tools, ML flow here, weights and biases there, custom pipeline somewhere else. That fragmentation creates three problems. First is risk. You can't verify that what a contractor tested is what was actually delivered into production. Second is speed. Without a consistent process, every deployment requires custom integration work. And third is compliance. When auditors ask for lineage, you're piecing together logs from 5 different systems. The common thread is a lack of lifecycle governance across the supply chain. Now, this isn't just an operational inconvenience anymore. Earlier this month, the NSA, CISA, and 6 other partners released joint guidance specifically addressing AI in operational environments. The requirements are clear. You need to know exactly what's deployed, you need the ability to undo it if something goes wrong, and you need an auditable record of how it got there. This is the new baseline. Without these capabilities, you're accepting risk that 9 agencies just said is unacceptable. Jozu is that control point that gives you a verifiable chain of custody for every AI model, dataset, and agent, regardless of which vendor built it or where it runs. We don't replace your tools. We sit at the boundary between development and production. Everything that crosses that boundary gets cryptographically signed, scanned, and tracked. If it hasn't been through Jozu, it doesn't deploy. Your vendors use whatever tools they need to build the best solutions for you, whether that's Jupyter, ML flow, weights and biases, or something else. And at the bottom, your mission operations has required runtime environments, air-gapped networks, Kubernetes, or hyperscalers. But between these two, there is a gap, and that's where Jozu sits. We handle the signed packaging, security scanning, policy enforcement, and deployment acceleration needed to scale operationally. Today, verification is manual, for example. Someone checks a hash or compares a version number. When you have multiple vendors delivering models across different environments, you're trusting a process. You don't have hard proof. Jozu gives you signed artifacts with cryptographic verification. Let me show you what that looks like. This is our dashboard, and you can see we've got 6 model kits in production right now. Each one has a digest. That's a cryptographic hash that matches exactly what was tested in development to what's already in production. If anyone modifies the artifact in transit, whether accidentally or deliberately, the hash wouldn't match and the deployment would be blocked. That brings us to security, which is the second problem. Today, each vendor handles security differently. They have different scanners, different thresholds, different definitions of what's acceptable. You're approving a lot of exceptions because you can't enforce consistency across the supply chain. Jozu solves that by running automated scanning on every artifact before it's signed and deployed. And this is what it produces. You can see we've got 2 critical security issues, a code injection risk and remote execution risk. These are bad enough that there's no way these models are getting deployed. Every vendor follows the same rules. No exceptions unless you explicitly grant them, and those exceptions, of course, would be logged. And that brings us to our audit problem. Today, your lineage records are scattered. You have Git repos, S3 buckets, vendor systems, email threads. When someone asks to see history of a deployed model, it can take weeks to reconstruct the sequence of changes. With Jozu, you have a single system of record. Every push, every security scan, every permission change is timestamped, attributed, and tamper-proof. 2 weeks of gathering and collating data becomes a few minutes to download an audit log. So let's look at a couple proof points. First, the VA. One of the directors of DevOps told us we see Jozu as the gate between development and production. Controlling and securing that transition is critical. Second is Pacific Northwest National Labs, which uses our technology to solve the same multi-team, multi-tool problem you're facing, just inside a single organization. Teams in security-critical missions need proof that AI artifacts haven't been forged or tampered with during every handoff and every environment transition. Today, most rely on manual documentation with open-source scanners or experiment trackers like weights and biases. In both cases, you're stitching together tools and provenance ends at the lab door. Jozu is the easiest way to get tamper-proof lineage from production back to the source. Jozu is priced as an annual subscription, a platform fee for the central server, plus a per cluster fee for each Kubernetes environment where you're deploying models. No per user, per seat, or per model metering, so costs don't scale with your team size or the number of models you're tracking. Air-gapped installation support is an additional manual fee. Thank you.